resulting in an enduring creative legacy recognized by professionals, critics, and audiences. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to the one and only Gautami Tadimalla, actor and designer. And I take the pleasure to call upon Kaveri to chair the session. Thank you very much.
So first, of course, I can only say, wow. You look fabulous as always. And we're not going to talk about aging, but yeah, we will talk about aging. But first, tell me, Gautami, I mean, we've seen you in movies, we've seen you in television series, we've seen you in a talk show, we've seen you as a politician. Uh, and recently you were made Deputy Secretary Propaganda, right, of
That's
the
right.
AIDMP. What exactly does a Deputy Secretary Propaganda do?
Well, the term is one that holds huge significance, but I would say, in a nutshell, it is about taking the fact of the party's relevance, of the ideology, of the track record of effective administration in the state through so many decades consistently to new and emerging generations of voters. So I think that's a very, very important thing that's there in front of us.
This is also a position occupied by no less than Jayalalitha.
It's an
Yeah.
honor and a privilege. I mean, there are no words to think that, it's a position that's even close to where she was at one time in her career.
So, what does Jayalalitha mean to you? Is that the reason why you joined the party? Is it her legacy, her politics, her philosophy? Why? What made you join the AIDMK? And then I'll ask you what made you leave the BJP.
Kaveri, there are some things that defy description. There are some things that just are. The bond that I feel with her, as I know so many do, I mean, maybe they respect her politically or as Amma or, in so many different ways. But for me, it was something that was indefinable and that was just always there for almost as long as I can remember, right? So the first time I met her, I was very young.
You had joined the movies by then?
Yeah. And I met her at that time. Then I met her maybe once or twice more after that. But there's something that I just felt an indescribable kind of admiration, a bond. I don't know how to define it. She's it. She's always been there in my psyche, and it was not political at all.
Right.
I think which is borne out by the fact that indescribable kind of admiration, a bond. I don't know how to define it. She's it. She's always been there in my psyche, and it was not political at all.
Right.
I think which is borne out by the fact that I never had anything to do politically with the party in all of these years.
Right. So, was she chief minister when you first met her, or no? She was just a member of the party.
No, she was in opposition at the time.
Oh, okay. And talk a little about your meeting with her. You were talking about it the other day, and it was quite interesting. We forget how charming she was.
Oh, she's
Yeah. She
well
was
to
one of the
say,
most poised and sophisticated politicians we had.
and those that have known her, really known her, will say that she was a sweetheart.
Right.
She was very soft. She was very, very loving, very kind, very affectionate. But I think the Iron Woman, that we saw, the sternness
Yeah.
and, all of that we saw were definitely necessary for her to do her job effectively. But also it was about how do you make your place in a world like, politics and stand as a woman, stand alone as a woman and establish control and keep it and keep everyone united and keep the people with you and do it all out of love and affection.
Right. So it has to be a very clever mix of fear and love. There is a certain fear also that you need to inspire in the people around you because they have to respect you. And women politicians aren't necessarily, treated with great respect, right?
There are two
Unfortunately.
kinds of fear, that
Yeah.
one could inspire and those that they want to have subordinate to them. One is this fear that makes your knees knock and you're petrified that, oh my God, they're going to
Which
go
I think
off with
she
my
also
head.
inspired in people.
No, it was not that kind of fear. It was not about, oh my God, my head is going to roll. But it's the kind of fear, like, for example, with my own mother, right? Amazing. We could talk about anything and everything. And she truly was my best friend. We used to fight like cats and dogs. And, again, we'd be so close. But with all the indulgence, with all the understanding, with all of this amazing bonding, she just had to turn around from across the room and one look and my blood would freeze. I love her. She's the center of my world. But she could do that. And I think that is because it's a mixture of respect and love that you can't get without love. And that
Right.
is what Amma has.
Right. How difficult is it to be a woman politician and someone who's also been in the movies, like you? I mean, she was like you in many ways. She was in the movies and then she chose
Yes.
politics.
Yes.
Both are really tough professions. You have to develop a thick skin, but at the same time have a thin skin because you're an artist. So you have to be sensitive, but you also have to have a very thick hide, right?
Kaveri, I think, and sadly, I think this is coming more and more true of almost every profession
Right.
today. Especially the generation that's on track now to work. I see this happening with young women across all kinds of careers, and my heart goes out to them. Uh, yes, it is very difficult. Yes, it is necessary to have a thick hide sometimes, as you said. But I think a large part of what happens around you and to you depends on how you carry yourself, depends on the perspective with which you come to work, depends on how hard and in what way you're willing to fight for what you want. I think all of these make a difference. Yeah, there is a sense of, yeah, you know, a woman can be sort of manipulated in a, an easier way, or,
Because we're so emotional,
yeah,
which
like
is
a
a very good thing, by the way. It's
doll.
not a weakness.
I don't know if I'm that emotional actually.
Ah,
Yeah.
smart. So you're
I'm
the
I'm very
iron.
I am very sentimental, yes, but emotional I don't think so. I'm very pragmatic
Right.
and I'm very, very practical, and I'm able to see people, in black and white and shades of gray and take it in perspective. I think that's so important.
Right.
That's so important.
I want to take you back a bit to when you began in the profession. I mean, you were a kid, right? I think, did you complete your engineering
No, no, no.
degree? You
I
dropped
just
out.
started my
You just
engineering.
started,
Yeah, I
right?
just started my engineering. And then I don't even know how sometimes it just must have been written, like we have the sense of
Yeah.
fatalism as in India. It was just written, I guess it happened. I found myself in the film industry. And
That too with Rajnikant in the first film,
oh
right?
my God, oh yes,
Oof.
oh yes. And the
Talk
biggest
about
oh my
pressure.
God was no pressure at all. The only pressure that I ever felt on me was my own expectation of
Of
myself.
yourself.
Yeah. I came into the industry with a major advantage, as in I was never in awe of anybody. I was never in awe of the silver screen. I was never in awe of stardom. I had no concept of what stardom was. I saw people as people, and I respected them for who they were, for their work ethic, what they brought, to their space. Uh, I guess I've always been that way. I'm still that way. So it was never about being in awe of being there, having the secret dream all your life to be on. No, films were never a part of my.
So how did it happen actually?
I have no idea.
Somebody
Yeah.
spotted you,
It's like,
somebody,
Alice in
yeah,
Wonderland went for a
you
walk in
just,
the
and then sort of,
woods and tripped and fell down the rabbit hole. Yeah, that's kind of what happened to
yeah,
me.
but you didn't fall down, you fell up in a
Oh,
way.
I love it. I just absolutely have loved every step of my journey from the time that I said, why not? Let me do that first film. Why
Yeah.
not? Let me see what it's about. So that journey that started with why not has brought me here, and I've loved every part of it, all the pain, all the little physical pain, the broken, whatever, and sprained muscles and sleepless nights, and yeah, I've loved it.
I mean, there must have been times when you were doing double shifts and triple shifts. That was
Oh
the
yeah,
norm then, right? I mean, everybody was doing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Everybody was. I remember Shashi Kapoor being called the taxi because his meter was always down. That too by
I totally
Raj
get that.
Kapoor.
I totally get that
Yeah.
because, yeah, just for fun, someone sat down and did a calculation of the films I've done. And on average, I think I've done about 13 to 14 films a year.
A year.
Yeah, which means very little sleep.
Yeah, I
And I
mean, you
loved it.
must have. That means you did more than two films
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
no, three films in a month
Yeah,
virtually.
and the thing is, the reason I was doing so many films and going from set to set was that I was working across different languages.
Languages.
So films that were being done in Tamil were on one particular schedule, and then in between something would start in Malayalam, and then in Telugu, and then Hindi. So it was in that rotation that I was just like working all the time.
And were there times when you went on a set and you thought, "Hello, what am I doing? Which film is this? Which character is this?"
That happened honestly after I finished shooting, and I saw some of them on screen, and what
Did I
was I
do this?
thinking? Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Especially with the kind of experiments I did with my hair and my look
yeah,
and all
yeah.
of that. Yeah.
But you were always quite happy to experiment. That's good, no?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
this has been about discovery. It's
Yeah.
discovering myself.
Yeah.
What can I do next? If someone says that, hey, great, clap hands and say, you've achieved one milestone. So
Yeah.
I say, okay, great. Now what
Yeah.
next? So it's never been about looking back and saying, oh, these are all the things I've done and pat myself on the back, right? It's not about that. You keep going. You
Right.
need to do what next.
But then cancer striking you in your prime, I mean, that was most unexpected. And I don't know how you overcame it, but you did. And you then proceeded to talk about it as well. Would you like to talk a little about how that happened and what it took, what a toll it took on you?
Absolutely. Right in the beginning, you said cancer was unexpected.
Yeah,
Actually, it wasn't
really?
because I went looking for my cancer.
Oh, okay.
So I've been a single parent right from the time my daughter was born, right? And by then, by the time she was like about 2 years old, I'd lost my parents as well. So it was just me and her. So I had this thing of, if anything happens to me,
Happens
what
to me.
happens to her? So I said, for that, I need to start taking care of myself. And along with, all the regular workups and all of that, something popped into my head and said, all the doctors say after 50 you need to be careful and do a mammogram and all of that. And I was just beyond 30, 32. I said, what does it matter? It's just a breast self exam and keeping an eye out for any other kind of symptoms. What's the problem if I do it?
Right.
So I started doing it like that. And
Oh,
then one time I was doing the exam and I found a lump.
right.
So I went to my doctor and, I did the ultrasound, then I did the mammogram and I did the biopsy, and everyone kept coming back positive for malignancy. So when you're doing an examination, right, when you go looking for something, which means you're 50% prepared to
Prepared
find
for
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I have this very practical approach to life and to health, as in, you have a problem, find a solution.
Right.
Understand what it is, find a solution, find your resources to fight it, keep yourself in a good, strong, positive frame of mind, because half the battle is in the brain.
Right.
It's in the brain. So you can physically heal your body with the way that you think,
Right.
right? You can regenerate cells. So yeah, and then once I finished my treatment,
How long did it take?
I speak in a way a little over like 6 to 8 months or so. I speak a little maybe glibly about it now. It might sound like very
Yeah,
smooth and
but
hey, whatever.
hey, I'm
So
a survivor.
yeah,
Yeah,
and there's this whole thing. But there are two reasons why I do that. One is there is life after cancer,
yeah,
especially if you catch it early.
right.
And I'm what? Almost 20 years.
Touch wood.
So I would say that's a really good advertisement for finding cancer early and for
Is you.
living a, yeah, I would say I'm a good model for that and living your life well.
Yeah, I think so. And thank you. I think that's a very powerful statement. And also, I think what you said, taking care of yourself, women don't do that. Women tend to
Yeah,
put themselves
yeah.
last, right? You have your parents, you have your child, you have your partner, and you're always thinking of them, taking care of them. You're your last priority
Yeah.
usually, right? So I think it's a very affirmative thing to say that, and to make women come forward and say, take the test, or look after yourself.
It's not just about saying come forward and take the test and look after yourself. It's about telling every woman that she matters
Matters.
first.
Yeah,
She comes first and then the family is built on her.
exactly.
So either as a way of self-preservation
Right.
or as a way of protecting the family, whichever way she wants to look at it, she has to take care of herself
Right.
first.
What they say, put the safety
Yeah,
mask
yeah.
first and then think
But
about your
but then I mean I'm a really
co-passenger.
good candidate to talk about this because I was one of those women who I went through cancer, I went through all of that, then I went through so much in life, like so many things kept happening and there were so many challenges which I've shared openly with
Yeah.
everyone.
And what I love about it is that you've always stood up for yourself, and you've clarified, whenever
Yeah.
people have gossiped about you or spread rumors, you're the first one to say, hey, this is the truth.
I actually try to tell them what the fact is before any sort of conjecture starts
Right.
even. Yeah, because I think there are far more important things to do in life than
Then
speculate about
speculate about
somebody's
famous
life.
people.
Yeah,
But people love that, no? I mean,
I
as
think
as a as a
that
famous person for what now? 36 years, more than three
yeah.
decades. You know that, almost 4 decades.
Kaveri, there's a thing of it's very easy to say people love to gossip, people
Yeah,
love to live vicariously through, celebrities and all that. I I don't think it's as simple as that. I feel very bad when I see these generations now and the way that they're reacting either to celebrities or to any kind of sensational things or the way they sensationalize news. I think it reflects a huge emptiness within themselves. I think there's a great deal of fear in society today.
yeah,
And that is being shown out in so many ways. For example, one that disturbs me deeply, deeply is this aggressive resistance to aging.
yeah,
It's not simply a fear of aging. It's they're reviling the whole concept of aging, the kind of I have nothing against, and I do not pass judgment on anyone who chooses to do something to
to there,
to
yeah,
to make their appearance look the way they want it to be. The nose or the skin or a few wrinkles or what. No judgment at all. Everyone needs to feel good about being in their skin. But the reasons why that is happening increasingly is very disturbing because it's no more about older people.
yeah.
It's very, very young people. It's starting with teenagers.
Yes, would yeah. I
It's,
mean,
I am seeing such young
yeah,
people. And another thing that so many people have the same kind of nose, if you've
yeah. I know.
noticed.
So you
And
all
I
end up
find that
looking
very
like each
disturb.
other.
I find it disturbing because so many people are not feeling good being
About
who they
themselves.
are.
Yeah,
They're not feeling confident and happy and in love with who they are in their own skin.
right.
That is something that to me that's very, very disturbing because that is a huge crisis
Right.
in many ways. It's going to impact us, as a nation, as a
As a
society,
family.
families, because how you are, your children are going to pick that up and they're going to be even more strong about that sort of self flagellation, self-hate, self-blame,
Self-loathing.
self-loathing.
Yeah.
So it's so dangerous. I realized this when my daughter was really young, and I caught her. I realized that kids look at whatever the parents do with eagle eyes and without us realizing they're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it. So I made it a concentrated effort to say, I'd never say, oh, I'm not looking good today, or
Ah.
I'm looking fat. Have I put on weight? Do I look? No.
You never
I've
said
never
that.
done that. Never done that.
Yeah.
And by mistake today, if I say that, my daughter scolds me. She says,
Good.
however you are, you're healthy and you're beautiful.
How old is she?
She just turned 25.
How lovely. It must be wonderful to have a 25-year-old in your life.
It's a privilege.
Yeah, it is.
It's a privilege. Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, people talk about unconditional love from parents, but there's a lot of unconditional love that we get from our
Oh,
children
yeah.
as well,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And you know what, Kaveri, the beautiful thing about parenting is every child does give unconditional
Yeah.
love to their parent. I would say even more than the parent gives to the child.
Sometimes, yeah.
No, I beg to differ because most parents today are all about that many marks,
Ah,
get that rank, win this many medals, I hit that position. And it's very, very easy for the child to understand that that love and approval is conditional to them delivering whatever the
all
parents'
this, yeah.
expectations are. Whereas the children have no expectation of the
Yeah,
parent except that they're there.
yeah.
Just be there. Just turn
And
up and
maybe
just be
just
there.
feed us and clothe us. That's it.
Even that, there are
Yeah,
so many children in abusive
yeah,
environments,
of
they don't
course.
even expect
Yeah,
that.
they don't even.
But still, when you ask them, they'll stand up for their parents, they'll
Absolutely.
first defend their parents. They'll first defend that mother or father who's not doing what they should do.
Right.
So the unconditional love is really given by the children to the
I
parents.
agree. You're absolutely right. I wonder, as a single parent, did you ever face any censure? One thinks of Chennai as a very conservative city and, one that's very uptight. I don't think so,
Oh, not at all.
right?
Chennai is the most
I think it's
wonderful
pretty,
place.
yeah,
Yeah, where you can live at your pace.
yeah,
You can just be who you want to be in the sphere that you want to live
right.
in. You can make your life as slow, as fast, as intellectual, as
Culturally
yeah, yeah, if
rich
you
or
want.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can just be who you want in that side. There's no pressure externally that way. And that's something that stayed constant in all of these years that I'm proud to call myself a
Al-
Madrasi.
although you're actually from here, right? You're from, I mean, your
Oh,
parents are,
my parents are from Andhra, yes,
right.
but Chennai is my home. 40 years in a place is definitely your home.
Hyderabad, you've lost someone very precious. But Gautami, what made you leave the BJP after what? From 1997 to 2023. It's a long time to be with a party and then decide that this is not the place for you. Is it its politics? Is it its leadership? What is it?
I'm not going to go into too much detail because this is again something that I've spoken about
Yeah.
in great detail. But I will just say when one has been committed, to an organization or a way of thinking or a way of working, ideology, approach, whatever, commitment to something, one has a trust that transcends uh, normal boundaries, especially when something is so long standing as I had. And it's something that does not happen to break with something so long standing, such a long commitment, does not happen overnight. It has to be a series of things. So there was a point at which, as I said, my eyes are wide open. I'm very aware of the realities of any situation. And what finally caused me to say enough is enough is when I was going through a personal crisis, probably one of the biggest ones I faced in my life. I realized that the people, at least that should have been hands off, were actively going against me. Now, there's a lot of speculation that I went to the party for help and they didn't. That's absolutely not true. I
This
have
is
done.
about the land dispute that you're talking
Yes,
about?
yes,
Okay.
yes. It's a case of a person that I had trusted had been along with me for so many years. I've seen, his children grow up and things like that. I realized he'd systematically been cheating me for a long, long time. So when I found that out, then I went hammer and tongs at it, took the proper route legally, with the criminal complaints, everything, and that's progressing very well. So right from day one, I never knocked on anybody's doors or went to them for help or said, I need you to put in a word or whatever. But when I say that even at that time of such a personal crisis, you actively undermine and betray, even my trust in everybody. I said that is something that speaks to me very clearly of the timber of the people there on the spot at that time. And I said, enough, enough. I have a great deal of patience. I have far more patience than it's probably good for a person to have. And I give a very, very long rope. The problem with that is most people tend to hang themselves with it. Instead of
We
realizing
know
that
of
I'm
one
getting
person
space.
who's done that, who shall not be named.
There are a bunch of them, not all of them, like in different ways in life. But Kaveri, what I'm trying to say is that integrity is so important. Integrity is probably the most important thing, and that is something that one has to stand up for. And at the end of the day, that is the only thing that one should be judged by, not by how much money they made, not by how expensively they dressed, not by how perfect their skin was. None of that. It's the integrity with which you live your life, and what you see is what you get. I am who I am at home, with friends, on the stage, on set, out in the field among people. I am who I am. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm figuring myself out. And I love my journey. I love where I am, how I'm going. I don't agree with every part of my life, but I keep going, and it's really wonderful. It's really amazing because every day you find something to do, to fight out, to figure out, to come to terms with, to feel great about. That's what it's about.
So, how do you see yourself in the next few years? Are you going to be leaning more towards politics and less towards cinema? How do you see that panning out?
I have absolutely no idea because honestly, nothing in my life has ever gone according to plan. Right? So if everything had gone according to plan, I would have had my BE, that's my engineering degree. I would have had an IIM Ahmedabad MBA degree, and I would have been running a company
Some
somewhere. Yeah,
startup or some
yeah, I would
company?
have definitely been an entrepreneur. Nothing has gone according to plan. So the only thing that I will say is I definitely will be pushing my boundaries. I will be discovering new paradigms within which to work and to just be and to discover. And the focus of that is definitely going to be children and young people. That's the one thing I can say categorically. They're the people that deserve every support and every kind of energy and force and resources that we can bring. It's the ones that are starting out in life,
Right,
and it's the children, and it's the
right.
young people.
The other thing that strikes me about you is how lightly you travel. You don't have a manager, you don't have an entourage, you do everything yourself. Uh, and, we know stars now who have entourages of 12, 13, 14 people, want to style their phone even, I heard. How does one style a phone? I don't know, but people do that. So, how have you kept yourself traveling so lightly?
Well, I will say to each their own, and again, I wouldn't judge. But speaking for myself, I've never been one to get carried away by, the jhanjat of anything. It's always been about me, my work, what do I do? And as I've, getting older, as, every 5 years, not even every 10 years, every 5 years, I find myself more and more impatient with anything that weighs me down. I like to get up, keep moving, do what I need to do. So often, like people around me tell me, my daughter tells me, I say, you know what, just do that for me and do this and call that person. And then I get up and I do it.
Do it yourself.
So it's I need to be doing things. I need to keep moving forward. And if I have 20 people around me hanging on for I don't know what, that's too much. And another reason I'm very, very wary about having anyone like that around me is I don't want any buffers between me and my world. I don't want to have anybody who wants to talk to me or even approach me in any way have to jump through hoops, go through 6 different layers, kind of get
The
a gate pass from
manager,
so
the
many different people,
agent. Yeah.
and then get a severely edited version of exactly what it was they
Yeah.
wanted. I don't want to do that. Communication has to be real, has to be immediate. And what do I have to fear?
Right.
They're all people like you and me, and
Yeah.
everybody ticks with the same, good, bad,
Yeah.
ugly, pain, joy, laugh. It's all the same. You live in a village, you live in a hut, you live in a palace. It's all the same. That's one thing that I have realized through all of these years. And yeah, travel light, move quickly, keep, widening your
Yeah.
horizon and explore yourself, keep learning. That's what life is
No
about.
better advice to looking and feeling like you do. Thank you so much, Gautami. It was such a pleasure, and I do hope that you continue to inspire people and live your life the way you want to.
Thank
So,
you,
thank you so
Kaveri.
much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Madam Gautami. Your presence has seriously enlightened and made us really peaceful at the summit. Super, super colorful indeed. May I call upon Mohit Roy Sharma, Senior Executive Editor, ABP Network, to kindly come up and felicitate Madam Gautami.
Thank you.